Welcome y'all to another edition, El Miller Learn and Implement. And this one right here is going to probably rub a lot of people the wrong way. And I get it. I get it. So, here, what I'm doing now, I'll preface this by saying Marcus Garvey, great intellect, great ideas. Um, you know, he did something that's hard to duplicate. But I think he might have fell in the same category with Umar on the little ego side and not allowing business people to deal with business stuff, and it kind of ruined them, right? So Umar is the same way, as far as child psychology, things like that, top notch. But when it came to doing the school thing and dealing with finances and people money, you know, he kind of he kind of ruined that right there. So what I'm gonna do is just show how Marcus Garvey in the 1920s did what Umar is doing now, where you getting all this money from black people and not producing on what you said you was going to do. So, so you guys, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read directly from the article. So W.E.B. Du Bois and Garvey had a little thing where they go back and forth. And so W.E.B. Du Bois kind of felt something wasn't right, like getting all this money and nothing is happening. You making, outlandish comments and things like that. And it just seemed off to him. So what he did is went and pulled receipts, sort of like pocket watching with JT, like the same way he went and pulled Umar Johnson IRS receipts and showed that dude wasn't even filing that he even had received any donations. The thing that separates them two is I'm gonna call it donations, even though it really wasn't. And I get into the article and read the article as well, and I show you where all the sources from, But so Marcus Garvey did is open up shares into his company, $5 a share, and people bought shares, and that was like a donation, basically. And I'm doing this because I made a Facebook post, some dude got offended, went on some big old rant or whatever, and I didn't realize how uncommon this information was. I thought people knew, the behind the scenes stuff or what really happened, XYZ, but apparently they don't. So, you know, and so I'm not going to paraphrase or add my own interpretation of the receipts that was pulled. I'm going straight to the article, and we're going to slow walk this thing because this is is a great leader at the end of the day. So let me get my charger so my computer don't die, and then we'll get into it. All right, so got my screen up. So I'll take you to the. So this is a newspaper article. Well, I think it's like it's a journal. It's a journal, and it is back in the day. It's called The Crisis. So this is journal. You want to pull it up yourself. It's volume 21, number 3. It was published January of 1921, and the whole number is 123. Here I got like the table of contents or whatever, so I can just click. I don't have to scroll. But it's other things that's interesting in this that I found. But let's stick to the topic. So we go to Marcus Garvey, article written by E.B. Du Bois. Make it bigger for you guys. So we'll get into it, man. And and, and, and I'm going to read word for word. So let's slow walk this thing to make sure because this is a great leader. An article in December, Crisis gave Marcus Garvey personal history, this article considers his industrial enterprises and the feasibility of his general plans. So let's get into it. So when it comes to Marcus Garvey's industrial and commercial enterprises, there is more ground for doubt and misgiving than in the matter of his character. First of all, his enterprises are incorporated in Delaware, where the corporation laws are loose and where no financial statements are required. That's kind of a flag that W.E.B. Du Bois seen right there. So far as I can find, and I have searched with care, Marcus Garvey had never published a complete statement of the income and expenditures of the Negro Improvement Association or the Black Star Line or of any of his enterprises, which really revealed his financial situation. So sort of like Umar, when JT, like Pocket Watch, where JT went and pulled his IRS statements, and Umar Johnson never filed. So then he lost his 501c, and so he redid another one, and then when he did file, he said he didn't receive any donations. So that's I see a similarity to. Where did I stop at? Okay. A courteous letter of inquiry sent to him July 22nd, 1920, asking for such financial data as he was willing for public to know remains to this day unacknowledged and unanswered. So like Umar again, where people was asking Umar, what you doing with the money? What you do with the money? What you do with the money? And he like, screw y'all. I know what I'm doing with the money. Don't worry about it. Now, a refusal to publish a financial statement is no proof of dishonesty, but is proof that either Garvey is ill-advised and unnecessarily courting suspicion, or that his industrial enterprises are not on a sound business basis. Otherwise, he is too good an advertiser not to use a promising balance sheet for all it is worth. There has been one balance sheet published July 26, 1920, purporting to give the financial condition of the Black Star Line after 1 year of operation. Neither profit or loss is shown. There is no way to tell the actual cash receipts or true condition of the business. Nevertheless, it does make some interesting revelations. The total amount of stock subscribed is 590,860. Of this, 118,153.28 is not yet paid for, leaving the actual amount of paid in capital charge against corporations 472,706.72. Against this stands only $350,214.59 of assets. Okay, about 22,000 in cash, deposits and loans receivable, about 13,000 in furniture and equipment, and about 285,500, which is alleged value of his boats. We're gonna get to that boats too. I'll just cover that. 26,000 in real estate and about 6,000 of insurance paid in advance. To offset the assets, he has 152,000 of other liabilities, accrued salaries, 1,500 notes and accounts payable, 129,000 mortgages due, about 21.5. In other words, his capital stock of 473,000 is after a year's business impaired to such an extent that he has only 203,000 to show for it. So half of it's gone. Even this does not reveal the precariousness of his actual business condition. Banks before the war and lending their credit refused to recognize any business as safe unless for every dollar of current liabilities, there were $2 of current assets. Today, since the war, they require $3 of current assets to every one of current liabilities. The Black Star Line had July 26, 16,500 in current assets and about 131,000 in current liabilities. When recognition by any reputable bank called for 390,000 in current assets. So basically, here is they don't have enough for the loan. Like they need another 260 to get the loan. because they need more assets. Moreover, another sinister admission appears in this statement. The cost of floating the Black Star Line to date has been 289,000. In other words, it had cost nearly 300,000 to collect a capital of less than half a million. Garvey has, in other words, spent more for advertisement than he has for his boats. And that's like pretty damning right there. Right? You advertising the boats instead of getting the boats. But this is a serious situation, and even this does not tell the whole story. The real estate, furniture, etc., listed above are probably valued correctly, but how about the boats? The yard mount, you remember he had 3 boats, because the thing is, oh, he had these steam boats, but we'll get into it right now. So the Yarmouth is a wooden steamer of 1,452 gross tons, built in 1887. It is old and unseaworthy. It came near to sinking a year ago, and it has cost a great deal for repairs. It is said that it is now laid up for repairs with large bill due. Without a doubt, the inexperienced purchasers of this vessel paid far more than it is worth, and it will soon be utterly worthless unless rebuilt at a very high cost. That's boat number one. Boat number two, the cases of Kanawa or Antonio Masio in the Shady Side are puzzling. Neither of these boats is registered as belonging to Black Star Line at all. Black Star Line is his steam company, and these boats aren't even registered to him. The former is recorded as belonging to CL Diamond and Demon. No, Damon, however you pronounce that. And the latter to the North and East River Steamboat Company. So those are who the other 2 boats belong to. And in the cliff notes it says who the Yarmouth belongs to, and I'll read that. Does the Black Star Line really own these boats, or is it buying them by installments or only leasing them? We do not know the facts and have been unable to find out. Under the circumstances, they look like dubious assets. The majority of Black Star stock is apparently owned by the Universal Negro Improvement Association. There is no reason why this association, if it will and can, should not continue to pour money into its corporation. Let us therefore consider Mr. Garvey's other resources. Marcus Garvey income consists of dues from members of the UNI Association, shares in the Black Star Line and other enterprises, and gifts and loans for specific objects. Now, this is a claim where it's like 3 million members or whatever. If the UNI Association has 3 million members, then the income from the source alone will be certainly over $1 million a year. If, as is more likely, it has under 300,000 paying members, he may collect 150,000 annually from this source. Stock in the Black Star Line is still being sold. Garvey himself tells of one woman who have saved about $400 in gold. She brought out all the gold and bought shares in Black Star Line. And this is the part I really hate, when people are desperate, you know, like us Black folks, because especially then, just I'm not going to disrespect them and compare it to now, but and this guy comes along, charismatic, great orator, playing that seems really good. I'm like, Umar is a great speaker. When he's speaking about the stuff he knows about, extremely charismatic as well. You get people to give their last to you because that's how much you make them believe in you. So these people are giving a last, right? And that's the part that I really don't like, especially back then. It's 1920 and $400 in gold from a woman, and says she saved it. So she might have been a single woman, whose husband may have been lynched, or she just on her own or whatever. Because it's rare to be like a single woman back then. Everybody was married. Another man writes this touching letter from the Canal Zone. I have sent twice to buy shares amounting to $125. Now I am sending 35 for 7 more shares. You might think I have money, but the truth, as I stated before, is that I have no money now. Gave us all. But if I'm to die of hunger, it will be all right, because I'm determined to do all that's in my power to better the conditions of my race. Dedicated guy. And it's just sad they threw their money away to this, you know. In addition to this, he has asked for special contributions. In the spring of 1920, he demanded for his coming convention in August a fund of $2 million to capitalize this, the greatest of all conventions. See, he's a good marketer. He's saying, "Oh, I got this big convention, but I need 2 million." In October, he acknowledged a total of something over 16,000 small contributions. Immediately, he announced a constructive loan of 2 million, which he presumably still seeking a raise. Now he's needing more money. It don't end. Like Umar needing more money. It never ends. From these sources of income, Mr. Garvey had financed his enterprises and carried on a wide and determined propaganda, maintained a large staff of salary officials, clerks, and agents, and published a weekly newspaper. Notwithstanding this considerable income, there is no doubt that Garvey expenditures are pressing hard on his income and that his financial methods are so essentially unsound that unless he speedily revises them, the investor will certainly get no dividends and worse may happen. He is apparently using the familiar method of kiting. Example given is the money which comes in as investments in stock is being used in current expenses, especially in heavy overhead costs for clerk hire, interest, and display. Even his boats are being used for advertisements more than for business. So he's not doing what he says he's going to do with the boats. Get the boats and start doing business with other countries as far as shipping and buying goods and things of that nature. Line in harbors as exhibits take. Oh Lord, look. So basically, what he doing with the boats is partying on them. So line and exhibits taking excursion parties. These methods have necessitated mortgages on property and continually new and more grandiose schemes to collect larger and larger amounts of ready cash. Let's hold off on that. Oh yeah, so the Yarmouth I said, if it's his or not. So technically, you see this print right here. Let me highlight for you guys. It's in the fine print. They can't see it. So this right here. So we're gonna read a little bit of that. Technically, the Yarmouth does not belong to the Black Star Line of Delaware, but to the Black Star Line of Canada Limited, incorporated in Canada. March 23rd, 1920, with $1 million in capital. This capital consists of 500 cash and 999,500 assets. Probably the Black Star Line of Delaware controls this corporation, but this is not known. So it's sort of like Umar when he refused to file his taxes and he got his tax exempt license taken away. He went and made another company, and then he filed taxes under that new company he made. And he found that of course, I told you guys earlier, he found that he didn't receive any donations. But this is interesting how the boats are used for exhibits and excursion parties. That's like insane. So he's fucking up the people money. Let's call it what it is, right? Though that's the thing. Nobody's infallible at the end of the day. Everybody can be criticized under scrutiny. That's why we don't deal with man worship or idol worshiping. Because once you get into that mode, they can do no wrong. They never did any wrong. We don't do that over here. Let's finish. I think I like 2 more pages. One more. I don't know. So we'll start back. Meantime, lacking businessmen of experience, his actual business ventures have brought in few returns, involved heavy expenses, and threatened him continually with disaster or legal complications. See, and this is the part right here where he's giving warning. You're going to face legal matters. And that ultimately he got deported. On the other hand, full credit must be now. You tell he's W.E.B. Du Bois is very unbiased in this, right? Because he give credit where it's due. On the other hand, full credit must be given Garvey for a bold effort and some success. He has at least put vessels manned and owned by black men on the seas, and they have carried passengers and cargoes. The difficulty is that he does not know the shipping business. He does not understand investment of capital, and he has a few trained and staunch assistants. The present financial plight of an inexperienced and headstrong promoter may therefore decide the fate of the whole movement. This would be calamity. Garvey is the beloved leader of tens of thousands of poor and bewildered people who have been cheated all their lives. His failure would mean a blow to their faith and a loss of their little savings, which would take generations to undo. Moreover, shorn of his bombast and exaggeration, the main lines of the Garvey plan are perfectly feasible. So he's giving credit saying you got a good plan, but the business part is just trash. Like Umar got the right idea for the school, but the business part, the most important part, is like, come on. What he is trying to say and do is this: American Negroes can, by accumulating and administer their own capital, organize industry, join the black centers of South Atlantic by commercial enterprise, and in this way ultimately redeem Africa as a fit and free home for black men. This is true. It is feasible. It is, in a sense, practical, but it would take for its accomplishment long years of painstaking self-sacrifice effort. That's the part, the sacrifice. I think Garvey's promising things become like boom, 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 boom. Like we do this now, we do this now, we do this now. But at the same time, you're having parties and enjoying the money as well. That's not how that works. It will call for every ounce of ability, knowledge, and experience and devotion in the whole Negro race. It is not a task for one man or one organization, but for coordinated effort on the part of millions. This plan is not original with Garvey, but he has popularized it, made it a living vocal idea, and swept thousands with him with intense belief in the possible accomplishment of this idea. This is a great human service, but when Garvey forges ahead and almost single-handedly attempts to realize his dream in a few years with large words and wild gestures, he grievously minimizes his task and endangers his cause. To instance, one illustrative fact, there is no doubt but what Garvey has sought to import to America and capitalize the antagonism between blacks and mulattoes in the West Indies. Yeah, he's big on separating light skinned and black, dark skinned folks. This has been the cause of the West Indian failures to gain headway against the whites. Yet Garvey imports it into a land where it has never had any substantial foot in them, and where today of all days it is absolutely. He was a wordy guy. I have to look that word up. Sound like something bad, but repudiated by every thinking Negro. See, that's what I'm saying. Like the blacks of that time was the intellects was against his idea and his behavior. Um, so I guess in Jamaica back then, like 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 there was a color separation among the Jamaicans, and he brought that same ideology with him to America. Um, so let's continue reading though. I know it's long winded, but let's make sure we do our due diligence and read it word for word, so it ain't nothing being made up because it's kind of a big deal, you know. Garvey capitalizes it has sought to get the cooperation of men like R. Moulton on the basis and has aroused more bitter color enmity inside the race than has ever existed before. The whites are delighted at the prospect of a division of our solidifying phalanx, but their hopes are vain. American Negroes recognize no color line in or out of the race, and they will in the end punish the man who attempts to establish it. Then to Garvey increases his difficulties in other directions. He is a British subject. He wants to trade in British territory. Why then does he needlessly antagonize and even insult Britain? He wants to unite all Negroes. Why then does he share at the work of the powerful group of his race in the United States where he finds asylum and sympathy? So he was attacking other black groups when he got here as well. Particularly, why does he decry the excellence and rising business enterprises of Harlem? You know, Harlem, is is known for their Renaissance and Harlem and stuff of Harlem, intimating that his schemes alone are honest and sound. When he, my eyes getting crossed. Particularly, why does he decry the excellent and rising business enterprises of Harlem, intimating that his schemes alone are honest and sound when the facts flatly contradict them? He proposes to settle his headquarters in Liberia. Now, this is really interesting. Has he asked permission of the Liberian government? So he's trying to build in Liberia without even asking. Does he presume to usurp authority in a land which has successfully withstood England, France, and the United States, but is expected tamely to submit to Marcus Garvey? So he expecting the president of Liberia to just let him get all control of the country. How long does Mr. Garvey think that the President King would permit his anti-English propaganda on Liberian soil when the government is straining every nerve to escape the lion's paw? And finally, without arms, money, effective organization, or base of operations, Mr. Garvey openly and wildly talks of conquest and telling white Europeans in Africa to get out, end up becoming himself a Black Napoleon. So basically, he was threatening, the white folks who are in Africa to get out, or he gonna do XYZ, but he had no military backing to be making such threats. So what's interesting, let's read this clip note. It elaborates a little bit on the Liberia thing and the reason why he stated what he stated about, like usurp the Liberian authority. So in an inaugural address, so Garvey said, the single honor of being provisional president of Africa is mine. It is a political job. It is a political calling for me to redeem Africa. It is like asking Napoleon to take the world. He took a certain portion of the world in his time. He failed and died at St. Helena. But may I not say that the lessons of Napoleon are but stepping stones by which we shall guide ourselves to African liberation. So, and let me talk on that just a little bit. That back to Africa now, it seems more like a African takeover. I might get it if you feel the presidents and kings there are weak. You want to try to take it over and create a vision and make it your vision. But the only issue is the only issue with that is if you go in there with that, let's say hypothetically, it was far from happening, but hypothetically speaking, if he did what he wanted to do in Africa and became, the president, somebody with this mindset of be doing what the kings and presidents are in Africa doing now. When they slaughter their own folks and things of that nature, and they just go insane, right? Because it's a dictatorship, and one person has power forever, and we know power breeds corruption over time. So that's just my personal opinion of if that did happen, that's what would happen with him. He's human. Suppose Mr. Garvey should drop from the clouds and concentrate on his industrial schemes as practical first step towards his dreams. The first duty of a great commercial enterprise is to carry on effective commerce. A man who sees in industry the key to a situation must establish sufficient business-like industries. Here, Mr. Garvey has failed lamentably. The Yarmouth, for instance, has not been a commercial success. Stories have been published alleging its dirty condition and the inexcusable conduct of its captain and crew. Probably sex parties or some nonsense going on. To this, Mr. Garvey may reply that it is no easier matter to get efficient person to run his boats and to keep a schedule. This is certainly true. But if it is difficult to secure one black coat crew, how much more difficult is it going to be to build and operate factories in the big industrial centers of the United States, Central America, the West Indies, and Africa to manufacture every marketable commodity, and also to purchase and build ships of a larger tonnage for African and South American trade, and also to raise $5 million to free Liberia, where the new buildings be erected, administrative buildings are to be built, colleges, universities are to be constructed, and finally to accomplish what Mr. Garvey calls the conquest of Africa. So, I mean, so that's an extremely large goal and a doable goal, probably over a period of 50 to 100 years, to be honest. But you have to have other people in place, like, to carry it on, and then you have to have people in place who, like, that's knowledgeable about this stuff. You can't just like, oh yeah, I want to build. Like, that's a lot of building. Then you building all that in another country. That's a lot. That's a lot. Um, to sum up, and this is where I feel the same way about Umar. Um, like, the summary of Garvey is how, like, I feel about Umar in a school. Like, so let's just read it. To sum up, Garvey is a sincere, hardworking idealist. He is also a stubborn, demurring leader of the mass. He has worthy industrial and commercial schemes, but he is an inexperienced businessman. His dreams of the Negro industry, his dreams of Negro industry, commerce, and ultimate freedom of Africa are feasible, but his methods are bombastic, wasteful, illogical, and ineffective, and almost illegal. If he learns by experience, attract strong and capable friends and helpers instead of making needless enemies, if he gives up secrecy and suspicion and substitutes open and frank reports as to his income and expenses, and above all, if he is willing to be a co-worker and not a Caesar, he may yet in time succeed in at least starting some of the schemes toward accomplishment. But unless he does these things and does them quickly, he cannot escape failure. Here, W.E.B. Du Bois basically predicted, how it's going to fail if he doesn't change. He didn't change, and of course, it failed. So let the followers of Mr. Garvey insist that he get down to bedrock business and make income and expense balance. Let them gag Garvey's wilder words and still preserve his wide power and influence. American Negro leaders are not jealous of Garvey. They are not envious of his success. They are simply afraid of his failure, for his failure will be theirs. He can have all the power and money that he can efficiently and honestly use. And if, in addition, he wants to prance down Broadway in the green shirt, let him. But do not let him foolishly overwhelm. Do not let him foolishly overwhelm with bankruptcy and disaster, one of the most interesting spiritual movements of the modern Negro world. This picture has nothing to do with the article. This is 5 generations of Fawcett Basin. Oh, Durham. But I ain't from Durham, but I live in Durham now. That's kind of cool right there. All right, so that's pretty long. So just what you guys think of that. I read it word for word. I put up the article. So just Google the Crisis, Volume 21, Number 3, Marcus Garvey or something like that. I think that's how I found it. I found it on the website and I download the PDF or whatever. You can inbox me and I'll send you the PDF as well. It's okay. So L. Miller, Learn and Implement. Your thoughts, opinions. Thank you.